Hi everybody, my name is Eloise Williams and I am a children's author and I have written 4 books so far. I've written Elen's Island, which is about a girl called Ellen who goes to stay on an island. You probably could have guessed that from the title. I've written Gaslight, which is set in Victorian Cardiff and is a thriller and a page turner, a bit of a mystery story. And then I wrote Sea Glass. Now, Sea Glass is a very scary, spooky ghost story, so don't read that unless you're very, very brave. That's set in West Wales, where I live now. And my latest book is Wild. Wild is about a girl who is a witch but doesn't want to tell anybody. She's trying to hide who she truly is. I'm going to read you a bit from Elen's Island, and then I'm going to give you an activity that goes with the story, which I think you'll really enjoy. So I'm going to read you a bit when Ellen has arrived on the island. She's staying with her grandmother. She doesn't really know her grandmother very well. They've only spoken on the phone since Ellen was very, very young. And her grandmother's house is very messy, Ellen discovers, and she's shocked by this. And she's also discovered a box with a secret in it, and she's not sure what the secret is, so she's really interested. So Ellen has slept overnight in her grandmother's house, and she's waking up the next morning, and that's all I need to tell you, really. Here we go. Chapter 4. The Island. Ellen woke with the sun streaming onto her face through a gap in the curtains. She still had her travelling clothes on, and her hair had tied itself into a tight knot around her bobble during the night. She checked her fringe to see if it had grown. It hadn't. Tiptoeing around the room, she listened for any noises. There were crows cawing from the trees outside and the echo of the waves, but she couldn't hear anything else. She got changed quickly and promised her reflection she would wash her face later. Pulling the curtains apart, she looked out at the view. There, at the end of the lane, was the open sea glistering its forget-me-not blue, beneath a cloudless sky. Tiny sailing boats bobbed on the surface like toys, and Ellen could clearly make out the happy little buildings of Aberglad. She showed the scull the view, then placed it on the window where it could look out. It might be her only friend here. Her old life seemed a very long way away, but just as she was about to get upset again, her stomach made a loud noise to tell her how hungry it was. This rumble was mixed with a strange, tickling feeling of excitement. She crept across the landing and gently knocked on her grandmother's door. There was no reply. She knocked again, a little more loudly. If Gran was out, she could take a sneaky peek in that box. She wouldn't steal it. She might just borrow it. Her hand shook as she reached for the handle. The door was locked. Ellen thought that if you locked a door in your own house, you must be hiding something extremely valuable on the other side. There was nothing else she could do, so she investigated the rest of the untidy house. She couldn't find anything particularly interesting about the other rooms, except for a great deal of dusty paperwork and mess, so she went to the kitchen in search of food. At the centre of the kitchen table was a picnic and a hand-drawn map of the island. "Go and explore if you can be bothered," was written beneath it in spidery, scrabbly scrawl. Ellen examined the map. It was quite artistically done, she thought, though she doubted the sharks her grandmother had drawn in the sea actually existed. She poked her head out the back door. Her mouth dropped open. The garden was absolutely the messiest thing she had ever seen. A rusty wheelbarrow filled with mud was turned on its side. A hose had wrapped its way around a tree like a slithering snake. Upturned pots lay cracked and broken with jagged edges like fangs. All manner of rubbish had collected in the bushes and brambles, and sharp thorns grew up every wall. Ellen walked around the outside of the house, wondering why someone would want to live in such a sty. She didn't like tidying her bedroom at home, but she would never let it get this bad. She stopped at the front door and wiped the mucky filth from a sign. It said, "The Lanterns." There were some lanterns hanging above it, which looked as if they were last lit in Victorian times, if ever. Ellen imagined them filled with candles, beaming happy warmth through sparkling glass. Someone might have loved this house once upon a time. The view was amazing. Looking at the beach at the end of the lane, she couldn't help the overwhelming urge to run. Her feet pounded down the path, which seemed much less creepy in daylight, scaring up butterflies from the grasses. They fluttered around her, yellow and white, orange and metallic blue. She kept running, past big purple flowers and daisies still curled into their pink edges in the shade, past dunes golden with scratching sand, past trees all bent in one direction from years of wind. She was out of puff, but she kept running across the peach-smooth beach, leaving the first footprints on the creamy surface. Ellen kicked off her shoes, plonked down her bag and ran straight into the water. She ran straight back out again. It was freezing. Tentatively, she put her toes back in. It was like putting them into an ice lolly at first, but as she got used to it, the water seemed to warm. Ellen imagined it was heating up just for her. Little pieces of seaweed drifted around her feet. A tiny fish darted towards her toe, then sensed danger and backed off. Ellen kept as still as she could and watched the life beneath the water's surface. A crab waddled past sideways, not seeming to notice her at all. A purple jellyfish, cute and small, puffballed its way towards her, reminding her of the giant jellyfish Neris had talked about. Ellen looked around anxiously for one, but then forgot about it again. People said the sea was blue, but now she looked, she could see that wasn't correct. It was gold under the sun and silver at the top of the waves, light green close to her feet, royal blue on the horizon and pale blue closer in. There were white horses where the current was choppy and sparkling sequins of light in patches. Ellen wondered if she could do a painting of it for her mum. So that's the bit that I'm going to read you, some first impressions of the island, I suppose, or the island in daytime. She finds it a little bit scarier at night, a little bit creepier, and her grandmother's house is a bit creepy too. So the activity that I'm going to give you is to create a map of an island. Now, you might want to take some inspiration from the map that I've got in Ellen's Island. So I'm going to show it to you here. And you can see some of the things that are on my island. So there are some caves here. There's a lighthouse, some trees, a forest. Seal Point over here, you can see some seals there. That one's got a very big head. The lanterns, so this is the house that she's staying in, the grandmother's filthy untidy house. This is the boat that comes over to the island, bringing her from Aberglad, which is the local town. There are puffins on the island, dolphins and porpoise and crabs and jellyfish in the water. There's a few sharks there. I don't think there would actually be sharks here at all, would there, in West Wales? But they've been added here because her grandmother's drawn them in, maybe to scare Ellen away from the cliffs. So lots of things. Oh, smugglers' rocks as well, where they might have had smugglers. It's a very interesting thing to write about. So what you need to do is to get an outline of a map. Draw yourself an outline of a map. Now you could do this on a computer, or you could draw it by hand, or you could find a map and trace around the outside of it. And name your island. Give it a name. I named mine after my main character in my book, but you could call it anything you wanted to. Pirate Island, Ghost Island, Fairy Tale Island, Beautiful Island, Terrible Island, any kind of island you want to. And then fill in some places on the island. So draw some buildings. You might want to use buildings like I've got, like a lighthouse and a house. Or you might want to do something completely different. You can have whatever you want to. It's your island. And then, once you've done that, have a think about the wildlife that would be on that island and the nature that you would find there. So What kind of plants and animals might you find here on your island in the middle? And also around the outside, what lives in the sea, on the sea and under the sea? You could label up all the birds and the fish and the different animals on there too. So I hope you have fun doing that. If you wanted to take that a step further, what you could do is write in all the different sounds and the different senses that you would find on that island. So what noises do the birds make? And what sound does the sea make? What sounds are there across the island? What are the smells? You could list all of the smells or write down how things feel if you touch them with your fingertips. I hope you have amazing fun creating your island, and I really hope that you will hopefully come up with ideas for a story of your own island which you could start writing from using a map. Have fun, good luck with that, and I look forward to one day reading those stories based on those maps. Good luck!